Chapter 9. For the leader, upon Muthlabben, a psalm of David. I will give thanks unto the Lord with my whole heart. I will tell of all your marvelous works. I will be glad and exult in you. I will sing praise to your name, O Most High. When mine enemies are turned back, they stumble and perish at your presence. For you have maintained my right and my cause. You sattest upon the throne as a righteous judge. You have rebuked the nations, you have destroyed the wicked, you have blotted out their name forever and ever. O you enemy, the waste places are come to an end forever, and the cities which you didst uproot, their very memorial is perished. But the Lord is enthroned forever. He hath established his throne for judgment, and he will judge the world in righteousness. He will minister judgment to the peoples with equity. The Lord also will be a high tower for the oppressed, a high tower in times of trouble, and they that know your name will put their trust in you. For you, Lord, have not forsaken them that seek you. Sing praises to the Lord, who dwelleth in Zion. Declare among the peoples his doings. For he that avengeth blood hath remembered them. He hath not forgotten the cry of the humble. Be gracious unto me, O Lord. Behold mine affliction at the hands of them that hate me. You that liftest me up from the gates of death, that I may tell of all your praise in the gates of the daughter of Zion, that I may rejoice in your salvation. The nations are sunk down in the pit that they made. In the net which they hid is their own foot taken. The Lord hath made himself known. He hath executed judgment. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Higgaion, Selah. The wicked shall return to the nether world, even all the nations that forget God. For the needy shall not always be forgotten, nor the expectation of the poor perish forever. Arise, O Lord, let not man prevail. Let the nations be judged in your sight. Set terror over them, O Lord. Let the nations know that they are but men. Selah. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Now, once again, we have a psalm. It's a song for a leader, and the leader is God. We've figured that out by now. We know that God is the leader. He's always going to be the leader. He is the one who go forth from the city, and we'll remember now the king is following him. And this is upon the Muthlabben. The Muthlabben, Mut means death, and the Laban is of the sun, and so we have the death of the sun, and that's what Muthlabben means. And this is a song of David, and we would think that it would have something to do with that, but we'll find out. It's those that come forth. That's what a son is, one that comes forth, and we'll find out. Even this one that does come forth. This is a song of David. Verse 2, I will give thanks unto the Lord with my whole heart. I will tell of all your marvelous works. I will give thanks to the Lord with my whole heart as well. David, and we, find ourselves here. It's like a song somebody has written, and we're looking for the great understandings in it. And we sometimes can hear on the radio or the music's that we listen to, the tapes, the whatever we listen to, we hear songs that we can relate to, and a lot of times they play over and over upon our heart. And these are the thanks that we give, the similitude in the way we give thanks to God. We play these songs over and over in our heart, and we tell of God's great and marvelous works, these things that God has done, even in our own life, and this that we've seen. 3. I will be glad and exalt you, and I will sing praise to your name, O Most High. And that's the one we will sing praise to, and that's God himself, the Most High, the Almighty himself. But I will be glad and exalt you, and even in song, David says, and I will sing praise. I will give thanks, and I will sing these praises and before God for the great things that God has done. 5. When mine enemies are turned back, they stumble and perish at your presence. And we'll find out when we take refuge in God and when we run to God and to hide in God's judgment, see, to hide in the law and to take the law and hold it up as our witness. We will find that God is always good to stand up for those that he protects. And these are when the adversities of life and your enemies come against you. We always have the Lord to hide in. 5. For you have maintained my right and my cause. You settest upon the throne as the righteous judge. For you have maintained, you have established, you've given, this word is asa, and it means you fashioned it, you've made it, you've given me my way that I go. You've established my right, or my mitzvah. See, that's words, mitzvah. My judgments, you've done established my path and given me the way to go, and my cause. My cause is my judgment. You already know the end of it all. We'll find out. God give us the law, and he told us to keep it. You set us upon the throne as the righteous judge, and we know God has took up that seat, that throne. A throne is a place it's a seat. It's a single seat, and it shows dominion over a kingdom. And what it does is it's where the king sits, and that's God himself. God takes up that throne of judgment. See, God put everything in the earth that is a judgment for a judgment. See, and when we transgress the law of God, we find out that this is the judgment thereof. But God took up that throne. He is the righteous judge. He is the one who is righteous. He is true. His judgment is right. It's correct. We will not live forever. Our understanding can't reach that of thousands of years. Our understanding is but of days and a short number of years. 100 if you're lucky, see, but not thousands, or millenniums, even more, forever, eternity, as God's understandings are eternal. 6. You have rebuked the nations. You have destroyed the wicked. You have blotted out their name forever and ever. You have rebuked the nations. You've turned them back. You've by their own understandings. You have destroyed the wicked. And we'll find out God did this in the beginning, and he told Israel, he says, you shall not worship other gods. You shall not make you an image. For after this abomination do all the nations do. See, God created all those not of gods for them to worship when they turned in a period before Israel. See, that was in a different age. And these things have been going on since the beginning of time. God says, you shall not do this. You have blotted out their name forever and ever. And it's a thing, and it's done. And once they come to this state, see, only God can open your eyes and make you see. Only God can do that. And once God does it, you will surely be there with your jaw open. 9. And he will judge the world in righteousness. He will minister judgment to the peoples with equity. And he will judge the world in righteousness or in truth. And who? The world. The world. That's inclusive of all nations. There's none left out. None escape judgment. See, no. All do stand before God. This is what God said. The soul that sins, that soul shall die. The soul that turns from sin, that soul shall live. And it's really pretty simple from there. He will minister judgment to the peoples with equity. In other words, his judgment shall have a little bit of meaning. His judgment shall have some understanding that goes with it. His judgment has value. It has purpose. It goes forth with a reason. 10. The Lord also will be a high tower for the oppressed, a high tower in times of trouble. The Lord also, he's a high tower for the oppressed, or something that's lifted up for the oppressed. Those that are trampled down under the foot, those that are a little mightier than them, those that may have little understanding, those that have what I like to call purchased knowledge. This knowledge that's sold off the shelf, we'll find out they hold this up and they try to oppress, and it works in some places, and it works for some and for a lot. I guess they have the ability to hold it up over. But God's a high tower in the times of trouble. In these times, see, when they are oppressing, God's the high tower. Lift God up, because the tower is that place where they fall into. When the times got real tough, see, everybody would run to the tower and they get in there. And we go back way back with these stories to the old woman who dropped the stone. 11. And they that know your name will put their trust in you. For you, Lord, have not forsaken them that seek you. And they that know your name will put their trust in you. And this is exactly the truth. Those that know who God's name is, who God is, and they keep it in their heart, and they understand these things. They trust in God. They have their faith in God because they know God's controlling everything. And God does not forsake you if you are just, if you observe God's understanding, and if you observe the ways of God, then we find it. God's always right there with you. God's always before you. God's going before you now, and he's going to drive out these that are within this place. 12. Sing praises to the Lord who dwells in Zion. Declare among the peoples his doings. Sing praises, sing rejoicings to God, to the Almighty, who dwells in Zion, who dwells there, who lives there in Zion. And we remember Zion's that parched place. Zion's that place of judgment before. Zion's the marker. Zion's the what he made to make known. God says, I will return in judgment. And God did return in judgment. And see, and we're going to find out that the daughter of that one, Zion, see, that would be the original. And then the daughter is the one that comes forth from Zion, that parched place. Declared among the peoples his doings, this thing that he's done. What? Parched Zion, judged Zion from before. We'll find out. It was the children of Noah that was there when the children of Israel come in. See, there was judgment. There was judgment in the earth. That's what God's trying to make himself known. He makes himself known through this judgment. And there is a judgment in the earth for those that see it. 13. For he that avengeth blood hath remembered them. He hath not forgotten the cry of the humble. For he that avengeth blood, those that murder. See, God, you can't escape judgment. You might hide. See, this is what the heifer was for back in the day. Take her down in the valley because nobody could figure out who done the horrible deed. But God knows. And God avenges it. He hath remembered them. He hath not forgotten the cry of the humble. Those that have humbled themselves before God. Those that go to God to those, because nobody can figure out who done it. Who else is going to hold guilty but God? You can't escape God's judgment. 14. You'll be made known. See, God will make you known. 14. Be gracious unto me, O Lord. Behold mine affliction at the hands of them that hate me. You that lifts me up from the gates of death. Be gracious unto me. Show me some favor. Keep me from these ways, O Lord. Behold mine affliction at the hands. Mine affliction, these troubles that I suffer, the troubles that I'm caused at the hands or the works of them that hate me, that come against. We'll find out they hate everybody. All these that, because they have no understanding. All they're out for is gain, to manipulate. And you that lifts me up from the gates of death, because it's God who delivers you from these gates of death. These gates, that place of judgment where they gather, see. And the law, we can look at the law like gates of judgment, see, because that's what they are. And when we go there, we go and we violate the law. We go out the gate, and we're judged. We're outside, see. And to get back in, one would have to turn, see, to God, because these are the gates of death as well. 15. That I may tell of all your praise in the gates of the daughter of Zion, that I may rejoice in your salvation. That I may tell of your praise, tell of all your praise. And all these great things, all these beautiful, wonderful things that God does, that God can do, what God will do in the gates of Zion. The daughter of Zion, I should say. Remember, Zion was that parched place from before. The daughter, this understanding. The daughter is an understanding that goes forth from her father. And the seed, the name, may not be there, but the understanding is there. And she will give it to her children if she's smart. But in the gates, once again, is that judgments. Those judgments, that judging place, that place where they gather for judgments even of the daughter, even in the understandings of Zion, that parched place, that I may rejoice in your salvation, in God's salvation, because, see, God is the only one that can save. No one else has the ability to save. God does. And God does it through the law, through your observance, your understandings that He gave you in the beginning. 16. The nations are sunk down in the pit that they made. In the net which they hid is their own foot taken. The nations are sunk down into the pit that they made. That's that grave they dug for themselves. Remember that? They dug it for themselves, then they fell backwards in it. It's a hole. It's an understanding of men. It's what it is. It's idolatry. It's idolatry. Plain and simple. It's a pit that they made. It's an idol they whittled out. They always do. See, God did that. That's God's work right there. That's how He does things. And this net, this snare, this trap they made, in which they hid it in, is their own foot taken. Their own paths are taken. They've only snared themselves with this. Oh, they think to make themselves rich. And, well, you commit murder. 17. The Lord hath made Himself known. He's executed judgment. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Higgaion, Selah. The Lord's made Himself known. God makes Himself known through judgment. Through judgment, we see the fire burning. God made that. He's executed the judgment. He set it in the earth. He made it. That's the work of God. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. He thought he was plotting it. We'll find out God was behind it the whole time. He always is. It's a way of punishing the arrogant and the wicked snared in the work of his own hands. He whittled it out and He made it. And it took Him in it right there. Because that's who the wicked are, and that's their understanding. See, God's judging them. God's got them in their judgment. Higgaion, Selah. Higgaion, that's a musical direction, and I guess what we could do here, it's like, in today's understanding, we could put it in this little music here. While we pause to meditate for a minute. So it's like having a little bit of lead guitar or something come in, a violin or something come in, an instrument by itself. Then we could listen to it for a moment while we meditate. 18. The wicked shall return to the netherworld, even all the nations that forget God. And the wicked, who are the wicked? Well, those that don't place any value on God's understanding. See, those that place value on things that we see, things that we can hold, they don't have no values in God's understanding, God's knowledge, God's wisdom. All the values that of men. And they shall return to the netherworld. They're going to go back to this place that is down below. See, and even all the nations to forget God. Even the nations, they forget who God is. Why? They make themselves a little idol. They make themselves something they can hold up and take God's place. Cast a shadow. Hide a little of the light that comes in. And then there they make their way and they make their niche and they hide there in the shadows of that and practice their crafts. 19. For the needy shall not always be forgotten, nor the expectation of the poor perish forever. For the needy shall not always be forgotten. These ones that are in need, They have thirst, they have hunger, and these that sell their bread, these that sell their understanding. Nor the expectation of the poor perish, these things that the poor long for. Those that are without, and all that is a little understanding. Understanding God give that somebody else tries to cause to forget. Understanding, it's a law. Arise, O Lord, and let not man prevail. Let the nations be judged in your sight. Arise, stand up, O Lord. Let not men prevail. Let not these that have this power over those that are less fortunate prevail. Judge the nations. Let the nations be judged in your sight, and we find it. There it is. So it is this day. God done that. 21. Set terror over them, O Lord. Let the nations know they are but men. Selah. Set terror over them. You don't have to worry about it. God's did it. God done it. That's what God does. There's a judgment burning, and that's the light we see, and that's that fire we have made known. Let the nations know they are but men. Let the nations know. Make it known. We'll find out in that day they will know they are but flesh, that God is higher than them, and God is always going to be higher than them. Selah. And with that, we kind of finish off the psalm, the song even. We're going to move forward. Psalms 10. Turn. Return.